Hi students, very good evening. Welcome back to Sri Ramanuja Vidya Mandir. Today, students, I am going to explain a new topic, that is control and coordination. In the last class, I have explained life process. Okay, today, let us start the today's topic, control and coordination. First, let us see what you mean by control and coordination. Here, children, we all do require some basic things for our survival that you know very well. Those are food, air, water, shelter, clothes. All these are the basic things for the survival of every living creature that you know very well. So along with this basic needs, organism is in direct contact with the environment. So any change in its surroundings have an influence on its body. We are living in the surroundings. Our living surroundings is nothing but the environment. Okay, so whatever the changes we are finding in our lifestyle, so to maintain the balance between the environmental factors and the body functions, there is a need of such controlling and coordinating system that works for welfare of the organism. See children, the organism should have a good rapport with the changes whatever taking place in the environment. Okay, see, right, nervous system. You know children, we all are the multicellular organisms. Basing on the number of cells, organisms were classified into two types, unicellular and multicellular organisms. In case of unicellular, only single cell is present, so all the metabolic functions has to take over by that single cell itself. But in the case of multi, we have more number of cells in our body. So we have different tissues, different cells and different organs, different organ system for different works. Okay, so let us now, anyhow we are talking about the human beings. So human are the well developed organisms when compared to the remaining creatures. Right, see, now let us discuss about the nervous system. In animals, this controls and coordination is carried out by the two things. What are those? Nervous and the muscular system. Human nervous system consists of two parts. What are those, students? Central nervous system, and the next one is peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of brain and the spinal cord, whereas peripheral consists of nerves. Those are cranial nerves, spinal nerves. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves are present and 32 pairs of nerves are 30 pairs of spinal nerves are present. Altogether 42. Okay, see children, human nervous system consists of two things, central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Central system consists of brain and the spinal cord, whereas this peripheral consists of cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Now let us discuss about the central nervous system. Right, it is the main part of the nervous system, consists of brain and the spinal cord. So children, this is the human body. In the head, we are supposed to have the brain, okay, and this is the spinal cord. These parts are main centers for receiving, interpreting and generating the response for any stimuli. See children, see, first of all, we must talk about the stimuli. Okay, and for this stimuli, these parts, they are the main centers for receiving, interpreting and generating and generating. Okay, these three stages are very important. Now let us talk about the brain. It is the most complex organ in the human body. It is divided into three important parts. What are those, students? Forebrain, and midbrain, and the third part is hindbrain. Altogether, three: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. So, it is the center of performing all types of actions, either voluntary or involuntary in nature. See, first of all, let me give the description about what you mean by voluntary. Actions that are controlled by the organisms are voluntary actions. Involuntary means the actions which are not at all under the control of human body. These are the two types of actions, voluntary and involuntary actions. It performs the function same as that of the central processing unit as it is in the computer. So we have the CPU in the system in the same way. So this one performs or coordinate all the things as it is of CPU in the system. Right? So you know, children, this is the structure of the brain. What is this? Structure of brain. And this is the midbrain. This is the cerebellum. Thalamus, occipital lobe, medulla, spinal cord, pituitary gland. Here, very important, thyroid gland, that is pituitary gland. Now, first let us talk about the forebrain. It is the front and largest part of the brain. It consists of olfactory lobes, diencephalon, and cerebrum. What are the three things, important things present in the forebrain, my dears? Olfactory lobes, diencephalon, and the cerebrum. Now, let us see the functions of this forebrain. It is the main thinking part of the brain. It has separate area for receiving sensory impulses. It also transmits motor impulse to the muscles to then show responses. It has center for hearing, hunger, smell, sight, intelligence, memory, learning, vision, mood, and emotions. See, children, so it has center for all these things such as hearing, hunger, smell, sight, intelligence, memory, or for all these things. So, hypothalamus and pituitary gland secretes variety of the hormones. For example, this pituitary gland secretes growth hormones, so which influence the growth of the particular individual. And let us once again discuss the functions of the forebrain. So it is the main thinking part of the brain. What is that? Forebrain. And it has separate areas for receiving sensory impulses. So it also transmits motor impulses to the muscles to show responses. Okay, so if I want to lift any particular bucket, so from the ground, so I have to get the signals from my forebrain so that I could able to lift the bucket. Right. It has centers for all these actions such as hearing, hunger, smell and all. So, and along with this, it is also having important things such as hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. Here, this pituitary gland secretes growth hormone. What is this, students? Growth hormone. Now, hindbrain. It is the back part of the brain and consists of medulla, pons varolii, cerebellum. See, this hindbrain consists of medulla, pons varolii, cerebellum. Right? And let us see the functions. It controls involuntary actions along with the midbrain. So children, it is going to control involuntary. You know, involuntary means the actions which are not at all under the control of individual. Those are involuntary actions. Right? Now, let us see the next point. Blood pressure, heartbeat, sneezing, salivation, vomiting are controlled by this medulla. See children, here this hindbrain consists of three parts: medulla, pons varolii and the cerebellum. Right? And so it is going to control involuntary actions, means the actions which are not under the control of individual. So like BP, heartbeat, sneezing. So heartbeat, can we control it? Can we? No, it's very like salivation, vomitings are controlled by the medulla. Cerebellum is responsible for equilibrium, precision of involuntary actions, maintaining posture and the balance of the body. So this cerebellum is going to be responsible for the maintenance of equilibrium and maintain posture and the balance of the body. Let us see. Protective structures of the brain. Let us see the protective structures of the brain. Our central nervous system is properly protected by or prevent any injuries. So brain is placed inside the bony box known as cranium. This cranium is here. This particular part is nothing but the cranium, inside which brain is surrounded by a fluid to protect from the shocks. Okay, so the spinal cord is also placed in the vertebral column. In the same way, the spinal cord also placed in the vertebral column. This is the vertebral column. It is well protected with this safety guard. Okay. Next. Now, let us talk about the nerve cell. It is the longest cell found in the human body. So this nerve cell is also known as neuron. The other name of nerve cell is, students, neuron. And see, this it may reach up to the length of 1 meter. The length of the neuron, it will be 1 meter. Nerve cell is divided into three parts. What are the those three parts means? Cell body, dendrites, and the last important part is axon. Cell body, dendrites and the axon. Cell body is surrounded by a part having nucleus and other cell organelles. Cell body bears a short thread-like structures called dendrites, which receives the stimulus. So here these small hair-like structures, whatever present here, so these are going to receive the stimulus. And axon is a long process which carries information to one neuron to the other neuron. A very small gap is present in between the two neurons. This gap is called synapse. The gap present in between the two neurons is synapse. Okay, just let us see the picture, students. This particular part is called cell body, and this one is the axon, and these hair-like things are known as dendrites. Okay, now let us discuss about the functioning of this neuron. How this nerve cell, how this neuron is going to work. Let us discuss. The stimulus is received by dendritic tips of nerve cell carried in the form of electric impulse. So, this dendrites receives the information in the form of what, my dears? In the form of electric impulse. Right. Next, impulse travels from dendrites to the cell body and then through the axon. So first of all, I drew here a small thread-like structures. This impulse travels from dendrites to the cell body. This is the main part of the neuron, right? So from the cell body to then it reaches axon. Okay, here it set up a chemical impulse by releasing some chemicals known as neurotransmitters in the synapse. So this is the synapse area. Here there is a release of some chemical substances known as neurotransmitters. What are those, students? Neurotransmitters. Very, very important point. Neurotransmitters. Right, and in the synapse these chemicals pass through synapse and reach dendrites other neurons to transform the information again in electric form. When synapse occurs between the neuron and the muscle, then it is known as neuromuscular junction. If the synapse is going to take place in between the neuron and the muscle, that particular junction is known as neuromuscular junction. Acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter present in the synapse. Acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter. It is mainly present in the synapse. Next, reflex action. It is nerve mediated spontaneous automatic involuntary response. What is it, children? It is spontaneous automatic involuntary response to a stimulus without the will of an organism. It is discovered by Mr. Arshall Hall in the year 1933. So, it was first of all discovered by Mr. Marshall Hall in the year 1833. Example, if we accidentally touch a hot plate, our hand moves back instantly without thinking of the matter happening here. So, when you touch any hot vessel, so immediately you can pull your hand to back. So what is the reason? So without any directions by the brain, you are doing that thing. So it occurs by involvement of spinal cord. So it happens very quickly as the receptors and effectors are in direct contact with each other in spinal cord. So with the help of what we are doing this immediately means we could able to do this with the help of spinal cord. Right, reflex arc. Now very, very important. So expected question in the board examinations. So it is the path followed by the reflex action to show responses. See, first receptors is going to receive the information, then it reaches the sensory nerves, then spinal cord, motor nerves, and finally it affects the effector. You just see the arc here. This is the receptor. Okay. And the signals were passed across this sensory neurons. Then it reaches the interneurons. Then here the information get processed. Then again it is received by the motor. Then it reaches the effector organ. For example, this is here the effector organ is the muscle. Understand? Now, action of nervous tissue. So far we discussed about the neuron, that means nerve cell and its structures we discussed. We discussed about the action potential. Now, action of nervous tissue we are going to discuss. Conduction of nerve impulse from sensory receptors to the brain and then to the effectors to show the response is carried out by the nerves. But actually the response is shown by the muscles or gland cells. Muscle cells are able to change their shape because of the presence of some contractile proteins which results in the movement of muscles. That is, what are those proteins actually present in the muscle, students? Myosin and actin. These are the two proteins present in the muscle and which enable the muscle to move. Okay, this is about the action of nervous tissue. Now, so far we discussed about the coordination in the animals. In the next case, we are going to discuss about the plants. Let us revise the animal once again, students, so that it is very easy for us to remember. If we'll keep on revise the things, whatever things are happened, right? Action of nervous tissue. Right? First, need of control and coordination in animals. See, organism in a direct contact with the environment. See, we are living in the nature. So, for example, if you are in the summer, so we'll feel hotness. If it is winter, we'll feel coolness. Okay, so these are the different senses we'll feel according to the environment. Right? Organism is in a direct contact with its environment. So, changes in its surroundings have an influence on its body. To maintain the balance between the environmental and the factors our body functions, there is a need for such, and we should have a good control and the coordinating system in our body. The thing is that we have different systems in our body, like digestive system, muscular system, nervous system, and endocrinology system. So in this way, so many systems we have in our body. So among all these systems, we have should good rapport and good coordination. In the same way, we need to our body get we need to get our body prepared with the conditions with this environment. Right. Nervous system. Actually, in the human body, nervous system is having two things: central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system consists of brain, spinal cord. These two are the two important things we have to talk about in the central nervous system. Okay. Next, peripheral nervous system. It consists of cranial and the spinal nerves. So in the cranium we have 12 pairs of nerves, whereas in the spinal we have 30 pairs of nerves. Next, central nervous system. Here it is the main part of the nervous system, consists of two things such as brain and the spinal cord. These parts are main centers for receiving stimuli, interpreting and the generating the stimuli. So they'll be giving the response. Brain. See, it is the most complex organ in the human body. When compared to, we have heart, kidneys, lungs and all. So when compared to other organs, brain is the most complex organ in the human body. So this brain having three parts such as forebrain, midbrain and the hindbrain. Okay, see, it is the center for performing all types of actions, either voluntary or involuntary. It performs functions as a CPU in the system, in the computer. CPU means, Central Processing Unit. Right. Next, this is the structure of the brain, children. So the important parts are hypothalamus. This is the hypothalamus, and this one is the frontal lobe, and this is the pituitary gland. Here we have pituitary gland, and this is the pons viroli, and here we have the medulla, and this one is running to spinal cord. Here it's the frontal lobe, this one is the parietal lobe, and here this one is the cerebral cortex. What is this? Cerebral cortex. So these are the parts of the brain, like frontal lobe, parietal lobe, thalamus, occipital lobe, midbrain, cerebellum, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, medulla and all this. Okay, now forebrain. So this forebrain consists of olfactory lobes, diencephalon, cerebrum. These are the functions. Already we discussed about all these things. Okay, I hope time is up. I can't continue. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Let us continue the same in the next class. Okay children, have a nice day.